Salute, salute, Knicks Nation. Let's talk about this ball game. The New York Knicks lost a heartbreaker tonight at MSG on Easter Sunday. Man, this was a highly competitive ball game. Late down the stretch, the New York Knicks weren't able to execute in the fourth quarter. Went into the fourth quarter with a 10-point lead, but the Oklahoma Thunder went on a huge run to start the fourth quarter when Jalen Brunson was off the court. After a huge third quarter, Jalen Brunson was set to lead the Knicks to victory, but Oklahoma had other ideas. The referees as well, right, interrupted this ball game with several non and dubious calls, but the New York Knicks have themselves to blame as well. Missed free throws down the stretch were costly for both teams today, right? As the Knicks may lament this game, we go to 14 games over 500 now and need to go 6-2 for the rest of the season, the rest of the 8 games to get to 50 wins. Welcome into the post-game live, Knicks Nation. Frustrating finish to this one, right? This was a game where I knew it was going to be tough to win. It was, one of the tougher games left on the Knicks schedule, right? But to be in a great position to win the ball game, to start of the fourth, right, for a 10-point lead, the Knicks just failed to execute late, right? Several boneheaded turnovers as well as letting some of the OKC players get hot and swish. But you also tip your cap to the final shot that SGA made to win the ball game. I thought Jalen Brunson had a really good look to win the game, to tie the game as well and win on a baseline fadeaway, right? With just 1.8 seconds left, it's tough to get a really good look after that. I was hopeful that the Knicks would execute something excellent, but really the game was really lost a lot earlier than that, right? Jalen Brunson was fouled on the go-ahead bucket as well before that, right? He was fouled by Lou Dort after making the layup, was pleading for a call, but did not get it, right? Such is the story of the NBA right now, man. These referees are all over the place, inconsistent, right? And then Devo got called for a ticky-tack foul on Jay Will as well. So, frustrating night, right? The Knicks would have had a chance to cruise along into the third seed as Cleveland lost earlier today. But we'll look at the NBA landscape as we've given out the grades, right, and talked about this game with the best chat in the biz. And these are games that the Knicks were in great positions to win. Although heading into the game, you knew it was going to be tough. No Mitch as well. We'll talk about OG and Randle as well, as there's been some news, and some updates, right, about them. And we're just going to have to find ways to win ball games, right? Another heroic night from Jalen Brunson, but it just wasn't enough, right? I'm always a glass half full kind of guy, but it's tough after losing 2 heartbreakers. But I will add this, Oklahoma are, one of the top teams in the NBA, so we get frustrated that we didn't execute and win the ball game, but we lost to a good team. You know what I mean? So it hurts. It really does. But we're into April now, and I want to wish everybody a happy Easter, despite the frustrations of today. We have to move past this now. We have Miami coming up, and we've got 8 more games remaining. Right, the 4th seed is there for the taking, and the 3rd seed is still there for the taking. Right. And we can't hang our heads, right? As much as it is frustrating, we would have won this ball game if we hit the free throws, if we had got some foul calls. But I'm going to talk about my frustrations with the bench, because we cannot sustain moving forward whenever Jalen Brunson sits on the bench and the rest of the team can't hold us down for just 4 minutes, right? This is exactly what's going to happen in the playoffs, guys, like what we saw against Miami in that series last year. When Brunson sits for 3-4 minutes, the game just completely flips. I'm talking a 12-0 run, right? A 15-3 run. Things like that. It's just not sustainable, right? We've got one bona fide bucket getter, all-star player, and we've got a group of admirable role players that give it their all, but against a good team with offensive firepower, and teams that can scheme against you, etc. It's going to be really difficult, guys. But appreciate you guys for rocking out and coming along, supporting, and let's have a conversation tonight and try to drown our sorrows in this. But 8 games remain. Like I said, these are regular season games. Try not to get too down on it because this season is still, alive. There's so much to play for still, right, despite these losses. And the Knicks could just take care of a lot of these remaining games, right? I still think we should be in the box seat to win 6 out of the next 8, right? It's not going to be easy, but we go through the schedule like we will tonight. There's 3 games against Chicago. There's Brooklyn. There's also Sacramento at home. And then there's an away game in Miami, Milwaukee, and Boston, right? So if you can pull 2 out of those 3 and take care of all those other ones, we can still do it, right? 6-2, I'm keeping the faith, right? But really, OG is the key. Julius, only God knows what's going to happen in terms of the rest of the season with Julius. OG is a little more likely to get back before the playoffs begin. But we're going to need at least one of those 2, fam, because they are a real difference maker to this squad. But look, today there was a lot of heroes that, made critical plays, a lot of steals. The Knicks started the game really strong defensively. I thought we were getting after it. The referees just decided to call the game differently as the game went along, and that's what was frustrating, right? Another night where Jalen Brunson's holding his arms up, pleading for the correct call, right? And we'll talk about Tibbs's efforts today as well. He made a challenge call, which was successful. But then Mark Daigneault, OKC coach, made a dubious coach's challenge, which I thought should have been, ruled unsuccessful. But they gave it to him. What was a clear foul on Josh Hart, where he had his arms stripped, as well. But a lot of factors decided this ball game tonight. It's hard to narrow it down to one thing. We hit our free throws and we execute and get a final stop, and we're dancing on a great win tonight. But unfortunately, we keep moving, and we get the loss today. Right, Jalen Williams was a beast today. We needed someone to slow him down. We also let Josh Giddey get too loose in that fourth quarter as well. 6'8" Josh Giddey on the 6'4" DiVincenzo was able to get a couple buckets, use his size as well, which was tough. No Mitch tonight, that hurt. That meant Isaiah Hartenstein had to play, more than what he's been doing. But yeah, we'll talk about it, guys. How are you feeling, fam? Buzzer beater in the building. Will Humble, what's up? Tony, Knicks 26 champs, and Daryl says miss free throws unacceptable. Yeah, absolutely. We caught a lot of breaks. Unfortunately, we just didn't capitalize. OKC missed so many free throws as well, fam. But I honestly feel like fatigue is a factor this season, right? I'm not trying to make excuses, but we are into the 74th game of the NBA season. It's been grueling. We've been banged up. Guys are having to step up for so long now that I feel like they're giving it their all, and miss free throws, miss plays, all of that. Fatigue factors into that. Best believe it. But yeah, we got ourselves in a great position to win this ball game, which is unfortunate. Highlight play of the night, Isaiah Hartenstein put Chet Holmgren on a poster there on the putback. I thought Isaiah had a spectacular game. Chet was not a factor today, right? It was Jay Will for the whole game, and it was SGA late for a cameo, along with Josh Giddey, right? The Knicks shot poorly, and both teams did early in the ball game, but the third quarter was the best quarter of the season for me, for the Knicks. We went from being down to taking a 10-point lead heading into the fourth, where Jalen Brunson went on the burner in that third quarter, fam. And, I thought that was it. We were going to win the ball game, And some statistics for you now, as courtesy of MSG. your hero, Jalen Brunson, is the fourth leading scorer in the NBA, right? At 6'2", right? Let that sink in. He's averaging 27.9 on the season, right? What a season he's been. All NBA season. He's just behind Luka, Greek Freak, SGA, who hit the game winner tonight and is an MVP candidate. And he's above Kevin Durant, right? So he is blazing his own trail right now. And salute to Jalen Brunson. Unfortunately, could not hit the game winner. It was a tough shot, baseline. But if we had 5 seconds remain, I think we would have come up with a really good look. But 1.8 seconds left is not a lot, guys, to come up with, the winner on that one. SGA, of course, had the size on Deuce, as well. AP in the building says, I'll leave the room for a minute and the lead is gone. To me, out of all the things tonight, I put that at the top. That's me personally. Free throws happen, miss free throws, but we need to fix this, We need to find ways to stagger the lineups, do something that can help keep a lead. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, we'll talk about the trade again. The guys off the bench. Bogey had a decent first half, but yeah, that was the poorest stretch for the bench, where the Knicks surrendered a 10-point lead as well. Will also saying that the fourth was ugly with no composure. Yeah, one play that comes to mind, Will, was that we were getting so many steals. Hart was leading the break, man, and he threw a risky go-ahead pass to DiVincenzo when he didn't really need to. I thought that was one of the critical turnovers of the night, fam. Buzzer saying Brunson is doing everything Jokic is doing with less help. Yep. He is, man. He's just an absolute warrior, hero, and a real MVP candidate, man. Obviously, Brunson hit the big three as well to tie the ball game. That was on a bang scramble play, because again, a Knick player missed a free throw, and of course, one of our heroes got the rebound. It was either Deuce, Hart, Hart as well. Hart was rebounding at a critical level, but continues to make questionable plays late in terms of the pass, leaving his feet as well. And composure is going to come down to it in the playoffs, guys. It's going to be, critical who can execute better, right? This was one of the top seeds in the East tonight, and one of the top seeds in the West go head to head, right? And we almost landed the final knockout blow, getting up by 10, and a heroic slate. Referees again were very, very poor and dubious in terms of rewarding our guys for getting into position, right? But a 1-point ball game, it literally could have gone either way, and it was the final shot that SGA made, man. He's one of the best clutch shot makers in the league. So, to me, the San Antonio loss still stings more than this one, because, I hate losing to a bad team. Oklahoma are not a bad team, they're a very, very good team, so you could, however frustrating it is, you can stomach a loss to a really good team more, for me, than losing to the bad team in San Antonio. But look, man, two bad losses in a row. Miami coming up in South Beach. What a way to continue this 3-game stretch. Now we have a day rest, and we get after it in South Beach. 8 remaining for the NBA season, right? It's looking very unlikely that Randle will make it back for the regular season, because he has not been cleared for practice yet, guys. Before we dive into the first grade of the evening, the updates. Give me your thoughts on this, and give me your level of concern in terms of 1 to 10 on these guys. So first up, Julius Randle's status, according to Ian Begley, as said by Tom Thibodeau, he has not been cleared for contact yet, and his status remains the same. right? So we got this today. No surprise for me, but it's just disappointing, right? I'm past the frustration with this. It's just disappointing, right? We know the injury was serious. We were led to believe that it was, well, we were given enough positive vibes that, it was trending towards Randle returning before these final, 5 games or so. But it's looking less likely now with him not being cleared for practice, for contact yet. Now, appreciate the fact that they're being cautious, because if he ain't ready, he ain't ready. You can't rush the body. But it's just disappointing that we do this once again this season. We're waiting on good health. So prayers up for Julius. Hopefully he can get back for the first round series. Right, he's going to be rusty, no doubt about it. But a Julius is better than no Julius. So right, we hope that he can come back before round 1. And be somewhat of a factor. But the next guy, OG, this is more of a surprise to me, right? He came back for 3 games after what was a minor surgery. They said it was a arthroscopic surgery to clean up the loose bone fragment spurs, to be pain-free. And in all sports, it's a relatively very minor surgery, right? But what's got me more concerned now is he came back for 3 games, and there's been a lot of games missed since then with no ability to practice again. So he's not taking contact either now, and he's really just still day to day. So that is concerning. Anytime you have a surgery on something and it just doesn't seem to be responding, I don't know if it's something extra that's a setback. Could it be an infection? Could it be something else, right? Could it have been more of a serious surgery than what was let on about, right? A lot of those things up for speculation because they don't really let out and let us know any other information. Us the paying customers and the diehard fans, I think it would be nice to just give us a little bit more information. Like, yeah, OG's on track for the last few games, or we're hoping, this, if all goes well, etc., etc. But really, we're just stuck in limbo with OG now, still day to day as well. But with the guys we do have playing, man, we rock with them because they're going to leave it all out there, and they're our best chance to win a ball game right now. Your best ability is your availability, right? As much as I love OG and Randle, we're coming to a realization that the first round series playoff matchup might be dependent on the current guys we have winning us that series, and guys stepping up. What's up, Daryl says 5 to 10 games this season should have been won. Yeah, no doubt. We would have been second with some of these guys as well. Now, level of concern meter, buzzer beaters coming in with a 9 out of 10 for Randle. Yep, I gotta agree. Mine would be maybe 8.5 at the least, but yeah, 9 at this stage because there's so many layers. Right, one is we don't know when he's going to be back. And it's most likely looking like a mid-series first round. The second concern is the injury still has to, he has to deal with it and play with that still, and we have to wait to see how he pulls up as well. We don't know how limited he's going to be as well. So, yeah, man, this season may end compromised, right? There's a real possibility. Obviously, we would have won probably 5 to 10 more games anyway, but look, we can still achieve great things. Brunson's playing, at an MVP level, and we're gonna go down swinging with him for this season. And Mitch will get back, so that'll be big as well. Now the Knicks could probably still add a body, because the playoff rosters have not been, fully settled yet. You can add somebody up until the final week of the season, provided that they were not on another NBA roster as of that March deadline earlier. So we'll see. If Julius does get ruled out, I'm sure they will try to add another body. We'll see if they do that. Um, but yeah, I completely agree with the 5 to 10 games we would have won. OG 7 out of 10. Yeah, mine was 6 out of 10 the other day, but it's gone up. I agree with you 100%, man. 7 out of 10 with the concern level for OG because yeah, again, no positive word from Tibbs today. It was just basically day to day, and we're waiting as well. And his ability to play through pain is questionable as well, as we've heard, guys. Yeah, Will, what's up? 8 as well for OG, 9 for Jew. Both trending higher concern, unfortunately. Yeah, no doubt. Now, as I said earlier, we fight through wins like this, losses against really good teams. So we have a puncher's chance on any night still. So this isn't me giving up on a season without those guys, but the outlook is quite bleak in terms of getting past the second round matchup. You know what I mean? Because as we saw tonight, when Brunson sits, we just don't get enough. You know. And as Nick Yak says, we were just as good as one of the best teams in the league. Absolutely. And hyped about the future as well, in terms of when those guys do come back fully healthy, health is health. You just can't gamble. You can't risk it. If they're not ready, they're not ready. But yeah, it's just disappointing that this season might not end on the highs that it was in January when we did that trade. Julius was healthy. The streets were buzzing on another level, right? The streets still buzzing, but the streets were buzzing on another level at that stage. But we shout out the first guy today, and of course he's coming off. He's close to franchise high, career high. Today, Jalen Brunson almost pulled it out for us as well. Hit the big three to tie it up, and I had the final shot, but it was a tough look with 1 second left, right? He played 34 minutes, which is okay because he was able to get a little bit of rest, but not okay because we didn't have enough guys to help us win the game. So, yeah, we're literally we're the definition of riding Jalen Brunson's hot hand. We go as far as he can take us. There's no doubt. Without those other two, and Mitch. He was 11 of 25, 4 of 11, 4 of 8 though from the free throw line. So uncharacteristic for JB today as well. He was one of the culprits, man, leaving 4 at the line, and that'll hurt him. That'll sting. 4 of 8, 50%. So he, unfortunately, I'd love to say he was clutch, but he was just not clutch, today. Right, it might happen one every 20, 30 games. It's uncharacteristic. But yeah, there was other Knicks that were very, very poor from the free throw line as well. And I say uncharacteristic. As I said earlier, I think fatigue is really starting to factor in, guys. We're 74 games into the season now. Fatigue is a real deal when we're running guys on fumes. So I can understand why Tibbs did have to sit Brunson a little longer there to end the third and start the fourth as well. We did the trade. Tibbs is trying to trust the likes of Bogdanovic, Burks, who returned today. Much of the same, though, for those guys. 2 of 8 for Burks, 2 of 4 for Bogey. Bogey was a little better than Burks. I mean, Burks just continues to be inefficient, right? I just want to see one night where Burks can be efficient. Right, he just continues to chuck up bricks, be, poor on the defensive side as well, and both of them just aren't helping as much as we need. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So yeah, it's really going to be tough moving forward in terms of the bench. I've been talking about Shake Milton. Unfortunately, he was DNP today. He didn't get any burn. And I thought he deserved some burn. But look, Tibbs is going to rock with Burks still. But I would seriously start to question that moving forward, that decision. Burks hasn't shown me any glimmer of any consistency. Neither has Bogey, but Bogey's, had 2 games where he was clearly offensively, productive, but Burks just hasn't shown that at all. So unfortunately, that's the major story, and another concern, to come out of this ball game, Knicks Nation. 50 wins is going to be awesome. It'll obviously allow us to get the highest possible seed, but to me, above that is the ability to get through the playoffs is going to be the real story of the season, right? Guys that can't continue to execute when Brunson is off the floor, it's going to be difficult to beat anyone. I'm not going to lie. Brunson is going to have to play 43 minutes. That's going to give us a great chance to win any ball game. But yeah, the concern about Brunson's long-term durability, health, is going to come into it. Today he did get a little bit of a scare, rolled his ankle on Lou Dort. If Brunny was to miss any bit of time in the playoffs as well, that would be toast, really, if we're being realistic. So guys have to continue to step up, as crazy as it sounds, but we need a great night from McBride. We need a great night from Isaiah. We need a great night from Dante. And we need a better night from Josh Hart. Right? Those are the next guys up. I'm not singling out any one guy more than the other. I just think, outside of Brunson, the healthy other guys have to step up. There's no other way. So, obviously we're not going to play the Oklahoma City Thunder every night. There is going to be some favorable matchups in the playoffs, we hope. Maybe Philly without Embiid. That would be very winnable. Indiana would be very winnable without the other 2 starters that are out. Orlando, I think we could definitely, win that series. It would be probably really tough, though, without OG and Randle. But that could go 6 or 7, that series. So there is, some winnable series to get through the first round. And then maybe Julius returns ready, for later in the playoffs, as well as OG as well. So I can't predict the future. All I'm saying is, it's looking more dicey as we first thought. But with Brunson's performance today, his grade, I'm going to go... he got us back into the ball game. He did miss the free throws as well. So I'm going to go A- for a Jalen Brunson. 4 of 8 is uncharacteristic, but you can't let that take away also the other great things he did. He was fouled. He realistically could have, given that and one to win us that ball game with the referees that were poor. Continues to battle like that Knicks warrior. Right, should make all NBA. Otherwise, that would be the greatest robbery. And hit the big shot, the big 3 to tie it up, but unfortunately did not drain the shot that would have won the ball game. Alec Burks it's a very questionable call for Tibbs to continue to go there. Right, he hasn't been great. Buzzerbeater says, bold take, OG and Randle will have surgery this summer. I completely agree with that, fam. I don't think it's a bold take at all. I think that's Julius Randle's shoulder will most likely require surgery. Right, it's not going to need surgery because a dislocated shoulder can heal with time, but surgery does speed up the healing process as well. Looking for OG, that could be a little more bold. I feel you on that, because he did have surgery already, but something could be setting it back. We'll no doubt we'll hear more as things come out, because it's been a setback, and we're still waiting. And Buzzer's gone with the A for Brunson, with keeping in mind some of the missed free throws. Yep. Understand that, fam. AP says Burks could be shooting Tibbs to the unemployment line. Yeah, I no doubt things are frustrating, but yeah, Tibbs ain't going anywhere. Right? I don't see the Knicks doing anything with Tibbs outside of extending him, man. Whether you're on board with Tibbs or not, you can't fire a coach that is almost winning 50 games. It's just, yeah, I mean, in terms of the Knicks, being connected to Leon Rose and that. Because if you're firing someone, you need to replace them with someone, you need to have a replacement lined up. And that would put Leon Rose on the hot seat. So, yeah, I know Tibbs has his shortcomings. I'm not the biggest Tibbs fan, but I think he's the best man for the job that we have right now, because I don't see someone coming in ready, lined up, to replace him, after a 49, 45, 50 win season, something like that. But look, the end of the road will come at some point if we make multiple playoffs and we don't advance. That's when some of these experienced coaches can reach the end of their line. But for now, we're not at that point. I think he'll get a few more cracks at the playoffs. He'll probably be around for the Knicks to add another piece, another all-star caliber guy. And then if we flame out in the playoffs, maybe once or twice more, then I could see, Leon Rose having to make a bold call on that one. But Tibbs' ability to execute in the playoffs is going to be his biggest downfall if he does get let go. But regular season, he'll continue to help us win games because he plays guys a lot. He prioritizes it as well. We got a Raps fan in the building. Appreciate you coming through, giving us your thoughts. Those injuries suck for us with the timing, but coming from a Raptors fan, your team has a lot to look forward to. Thanks again, man. Appreciate that. We were kind of really teased with the stretch with OG Anunoby. Him being 15-2 and looking great with the team, but then we just caught bad luck with the elbow. But no doubt for the future. I'm looking forward to next season as well. And obviously, with RJ Barrett and Quickly, they're going to have a bright future ahead. We wish them well in the 6 as well. Knicks 26 champ says Tibbs' job will be safe. AP says, unfortunately, right about it because there's no one to replace him. Steve Kerr isn't available until after next year as well. Yeah, no doubt. I think, and it will be Leon Rose's call, which is why it'll have to get to the point where his seat gets really hot, because I don't see James Dolan stepping in. James Dolan was that other guy that could come in and just fire someone we know, but like we saw last time, Dolan did come out and say it's Leon's decision. Like I fully back him to fire. He has my permission to fire. He has my permission to stick with it, as well. So, yeah, man, we're only 8 games away from the playoffs. We'll be having these big discussions ongoing all the way through the postseason, the off season. As right now, we got a season to salvage. We're going to make noise. Jalen Brunson, I believe in him. Right, if anything is possible, and if he has shown us anything this season, is he is capable of carrying us on his back. Now, we hope it doesn't have to happen every night, but he is capable of doing it, right? And if he gets a decent whistle, right, if he gets the foul calls that he should get, then we can definitely make huge noise and win a lot of these close ball games down the stretch. Again, as I said, guys, I think Indiana, the Heat, Philly, and the Magic, I think we can win those first round playoff series with the current players we have. I'm gonna obviously still assume OG Anunoby will be a factor in the first round at some point, if not before then. But yeah, Julius for me is more of the really questionable at this stage. But a fully healthy Mitch and Isaiah I think is equally as important, because that's our ticket to dominate some games, on the glass. Just, swallow every single board, and not allow other teams to get second chance points, is going to be key. And with that note, I want to hit on the next guy, Isaiah Hartenstein. He was 6 of 8 today, and the minutes went up. Like I said, man, 30 minutes almost. He was 5 of 7 from the free throw line as well. So he did drop a couple at the line too. I mean, that was the second biggest reason we lost the game for me. The first reason was the stretch to start the fourth, right? You don't give up a 10-point lead to start the fourth quarter and expect to win against a good team, right? We did all the heavy lifting. We got the lead. We had an amazing third quarter. Like I said, one of the best quarters of our season against a really good team. We were down 5 or down 4 at the half and then came out with a 14-point turnaround. It's just a damn shame that we let that slip. But Isaiah battled today. He was huge. 6 of 8, 12 rebounds. 6 of them were offensive as well. 5 assists from your starting big man with 17 points and a +7 against Chet Holmgren as well. So continues to operate at a really high level for a starting big man. +7 in a loss. That lets you know how big he was, right? Outside of Brunson, who was a +17, Isaiah Hartenstein was the second most effective New York Knick of the night, right? And one of our most important players heading into the playoff series. Against any of those teams I mentioned, he's going to go up against Miles Turner. He's going to go up against Paolo and Wendell Carter. He's going to go up against maybe Joel Embiid, maybe Brook Lopez, and maybe those guys in Cleveland as well. I mean, Mitch will continue to come off the bench no matter how healthy he becomes. It's Isaiah's starting spot, and we're going to rock with him for the rest of the season at the starting spot. Hopefully, those minutes tonight were a sign of him able to start to, get up to that 35, 38 minutes, because he is a difference maker. If you've been paying attention this season, Isaiah Hartenstein's plus-minus is crazy. It's into something like +300, 400 on the season so far when he's been on the floor. So he is vital to our domination off the glass, and the 5 assists today was big. So he's going to get the Warrior. He's going to get the stack because he's been balling out, and he's going to get paid, right? And he's on target as well. So really important New York Knick. I love his hustle, but the playmaking is a clear difference maker for me as well. 5 assists. To have a big man that can be that playmaker as well. I mean, there are a lot of 2 and combo guards that can't get 5 assists in a ball game with 30 minutes, right? It requires guys to obviously hit shots, and most of the time Isaiah finds them cutting for an easy bucket. The pleasing thing for me tonight was the minutes going up. And again, hopefully with 8 games left, Isaiah can be playing bigger minutes as well. And then he's going to have obviously a really solid backup in Mitch, able to, play maybe the same amount of minutes or maybe 20 to help back him up. But the 5 of 7, 71%, he wasn't the worst Knick tonight from the line. He's a big man, so they don't usually shoot much better than 71%, but that did hurt. Hopefully he does produce a bit better on that in that situation. The whole Knicks have got to practice those free throws, fam. Yeah, we do need to get to 6-2 as we talked about earlier. Yeah, we mentioned that, fam. It's possible. 6-2 is very, very possible. Of course, though, there is some tough games on the road. Miami up next, but if I'm going to guess, if there's 2 losses, it's going to be Boston Actually, Boston are probably not going to be full strength, so it's probably going to be the Miami one and the Milwaukee one will be the toughest two remaining games. Every other game is very, very straightforward for me, including Sacramento at home. We already beat them, so I think we can do that. But yeah, Isaiah gets the A. What do you think for Hart and his minutes today? AP says Isaiah is a backup, like Bill said. There's been a lot of conversation happening around our conversation with Bill Daughtry as well. Now, those that don't know Bill might, some of them take whatever he says on, word for word. But the intent of what Bill is saying is that in a championship kind of scenario, a championship setting, he sees Isaiah Hartenstein as a backup on a championship team. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that because, if Isaiah Hartenstein is on Denver, is he starting ahead of Jokic? If he's on Miami, is he starting ahead of Bam Adebayo? If he's on Philly, is he starting ahead of Joel Embiid? I understand some Knicks fans, they do, they look through, the roster, from top to bottom and root for our guys, but there's nothing wrong with saying a guy is a backup. Now, he is playing like a capable starter in the league, and he can start for 15 to 20 teams. So I also understand that aspect. I understand, that Isaiah is, his level has risen. But, Bill's been alive to see a Knicks championship. Everything that he evaluates and says about the Knicks, it's with a championship in mind. It's not making the first round or the second round. It's championship or bust for someone like Bill, who is obviously, has seen a lot of basketball, been around and seen a championship already as well. So yeah, there's a lot of younger Knicks fans that this has been the most successful team they've ever seen. And I get it that the fan base is giddy and we're excited about our team this year and our future as well. But again, everything needs to be looked at from the pendulum of the championship pedigree as well. Now, if you're trying to win a championship, is Isaiah Hartenstein your starting center to win a championship? I think it's a valid debate. You know what I mean? Can he be a guy to give you 35 minutes, 25 minutes? I think he's deserving of a big contract. I just think your starting five to win a championship, you need to look at the current champion, and that needs to be the team to supplant that, to win a championship. And you look at Denver, you look at Boston this season as well with Kristaps as well. So yeah, it's tough competition, but that doesn't mean we don't think that he's deserving of starting. I think that's different. But yeah, everyone has their opinions. Like every guest I have on, man, some things I disagree with, some things I always agree with. Everyone has their own opinion as well. And yeah, we love the debate. Fam, I get it. Nick Yak says, how did Randle miss the first series? Who wrote about this? And what reason a setback we haven't heard about? Well, the status of Randle is that there's no new status, so that's the concern. The status isn't upgrading to the point where he can take full contact, when most of the belief was at this stage he would at least be able to be taken contact. So some people look at that like it's a setback, but there hasn't been any new update. It's been very close to the end of the regular season, and he still can't take a full contact as well with 8 games left. So no one said that he won't be back. I'm certainly not, I haven't put it out there that Randle won't be back. There's just significant doubt now versus 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, there was that optimism that Randle would be back in the regular season, but that's looking very unlikely at this stage, right? But I'm no doctor. The Knicks are very secretive in terms of updates around the injuries too. But I get it. They're protecting him and they're trying to buy him more time so that he can be 100% right. I don't disagree with the tactic. I simply say that transparency would be great. So next up, let's hit on Josh Hart, because this was a game with so many great things from Hart, but down the stretch, I thought he had a couple of turnovers that hurt, and we basically failed to execute as a team. Right, I don't put this loss on one specific individual, but I do think Hart gave us some amazing work today with the rebounding, was dominant early, 15 rebounds, man, 6 assists, 13 points on a +4. Right, you look at that and it's like, man, that's A+. That's A++ written all over that. But the 4 turnovers, team high, 4 turnovers today really hurt. Now, he's got the ball in his hands a lot, and I support Josh to make great reads and great plays, but unfortunately today, some of those turnovers did hurt us late, and they did come at a bad time. Now, fortunately, he did hit his free throws, 5 of 6. That's great work for that, 83%. 4 of 9 from the field for Hart, you take that. He missed his 1-3, but 15 rebounds is unbelievable, right? Out rebounding, he got us so many second chance opportunities that we wouldn't have even been in the ball game without that. So, right, he's got his warrior icon. 15 rebounds and 6 assists is incredible. One of the best role players in the NBA. Unfortunately, one of those turnovers late was really at a bad time when he tried to find DiVincenzo. Right, I thought that was a little bit rushed. We needed to just slow it down a bit at that point and get a really good shot. Take care of the ball. It's one of those things where late in a ball game, especially a close ball game and playoff ball games, the more floor generals you have on the floor can really be an underrated factor in terms of winning down the stretch, right? As many smart, high IQ, cerebral players will be the difference, in playoff basketball. Some guys get blitzed and the point guard has to throw you the ball. You have to make a good play. And we saw the other night against the Spurs when Precious Achiuwa, grabbed the rebound. Unfortunately, the ball was turned over. In that situation, it was a miscommunication. Devo wasn't expecting it. He fumbled it. Right. I'm not trying to make an example of one player, but I'm saying that taking care of the basketball in those situations is going to be the difference, between winning and losing. Right, so today we didn't make the right plays. We turned it over, but we fought like hell, man. And our Hart's efforts are really appreciated. The battling on the rebounds, pushing the break, the assists, all of those things. In being fair, he made his stamp on this game 100%. He gets a B+. The playmaking is appreciated because we can't gas Brunson out like that and expect him to make the play every single time. Right? We need other people to make good plays. Hart did it for a lot of the night. And he's not a point guard. So when you're asking a guy like that to do that more often, you're probably going to get a little bit more turnovers like we did with the 4 today. But he's a player for the playoffs too. Hart will continue to battle and give it his all defensively. He's awesome. He can switch. He can sky for those rebounds. And he's kind of got more adept at that mid-range fadeaway as well. If there's one shot that I feel more confident that Hart is going to sink, it's that kind of dribble drive, little pull up midi, mid-range J fadeaway. And it's a little bit of a push shot, sometimes a banker, but that seems to be the shot that he's comfortable with. So we might have to live with that a little bit more. 13 points today was good, right? We got double-digit points from 5 guys today, so that is a story worth looking at. The Knicks scored 112 points still against a good defensive team with Chet, with SGA, J. Will, Lou Dort. Lot of size, lot of length. The Knicks were able to score enough, despite shooting at a bad percentage. We did get good looks. That third quarter really did open things up. And it was positive to see the Knicks bounce back in the third as well. But the fourth is what killed us, man. Will says, prototypical Hart game. Unquestionable effort and timely rebounding. Balanced with rushed and questionable decisions. You said it. You said it, fam. That's Josh Hart. The same way DiVincenzo is DiVincenzo. He'll hit deep threes, then he'll gamble defensively and get out of position. That's what they bring. That's their DNA. Right? There's far more positives than negatives. We just have to execute. And these close games will help the Knicks. I think before the playoffs begin, you don't want your first playoff game to be the only close game you play for a while. And I think these remaining games, man, are going to be a huge tune-up for the playoffs, right? And getting us into that mode, right? Playoff clutch mode, as well. Brunson's level of Buzzer Beater says Brunson's level of shot difficulty is higher than anyone else, including all other MVP candidates. Yep. No doubt, I agree. His size is the fact is he's so impressive hitting those shots as well. But I've said this before many times. I'll say it again. There's only so much you can do at his size, and he is somewhat reliant still on getting fouls to score his points, right? We need it for the team to be able to win, because you can't have every single bucket that you get be a tough contested bucket. At some point, at some stage, points have to come easy. And a lot of the calls Brunson was getting earlier in the season just ain't coming right now. And we need them. And I hear what you're saying also about, people thinking Brunson is trying to oversell calls now. I think the fact is he's having to just make it a little bit more obvious that he's getting fouled, because the referees are turning to more of a lenient whistle. AP says Hart has been learning. He's never been on a winning team until now. He's got room to get better. Yeah, certainly when we look at his recent playmaking, he's been better in terms of assist to turnover ratio. Today was one of the worst nights. 6 assists to the 4 turnover ratio. Right, so I think the biggest thing is he has to force it a little bit sometimes. We love the pace, the speed. He runs the break really well, but sometimes he just has to force it at the cup. Sometimes he'll get blocked. He will realize he's going to get blocked, and he has to jump and pass the rock like it's a hot potato. So that we have to learn with. I've always said, we need to be real about Hart's minutes, right? There's no doubt Tibbs is overly reliant on a Josh Hart, right? You can't tell me any other, team looking to go deep into the playoffs would play Josh Hart 45 minutes. That's just not a normal occurrence to me in an NBA landscape, right? Josh Hart should be a 25 to 30 minute max kind of player on a winning team for me. He's a really good player, can help in so many ways, but you can't overplay him. because there's limitations as well. So yeah, I think 45 minutes is too much for Jay Hart, and obviously he's more fatigued than anyone, yeah, probably because he's playing so many minutes as well. He's human. I always try to relate to the human side of things as well, because yeah, these guys are professional basketballers. They're open for criticism 100%, because that is their job. Everyone's accountable for criticism for their job. But we also can't forget the fact that these guys are human beings as well. If you're having to play 40 plus minutes, it's reasonable to think that your play is going to dip as well, because there's only so much, you can do. And you hope that the coach can understand that, can see that as well. Now, one thing is to play 40-minute guys in the playoffs. I get it. In must-win ball games. But you shouldn't be playing guys that much in a regular season game before the playoffs, right? Your goal should be trying to keep them fresh for when you do got to play them the 45 minutes in the playoffs, Not right now. I mean, important game tonight. Don't get me wrong, very important game. But not as important as game one of the NBA playoffs, where one game, you could be down in a series. So that's my thoughts. B+ for Josh Hart, and I love the buzz you guys are coming with after a loss, right? But it's been a great season, and we're praying for good health, and hopefully we can get as far as we need, right? Which is the NBA Finals. Salute to Buzzer Beater for the super chat. Appreciate you, fam. Let's get it. And for the post-game therapy, the pleasure is all mine, right? This is difficult, I'm not going to lie. It really is difficult to talk about some things that are uncomfortable to talk about. Some platforms don't like it. Some talk about it. I salute to them. But I love the fan base. I love you guys. I love coming on. I love talking basketball, firstly. You have to love the sport. You have to have the passion to be able to do this, and to talk about it. How can we improve? What do we need to do better? And things like that, as well. Some people, I get it, losing hurts too much, where people just turn off, and they want to spend their time doing other things. I get it. The thing is, I don't look at, all these regular season losses as like a be-all or end-all, right? It's just simply a path on our journey to the playoffs. And playoff basketball is what can really keep me up at night. A playoff game loss is what really counts, for me, fam. And Buzzerbeat also says shout out to EJ as well. Yeah, no doubt as well. I'm in touch with EJ. As I said, he's handling some personal things, but we wish everyone, health, happiness, blessings, and happy Easter as well. To everyone out here watching, replay squad, salute. The streets are buzzing, smashing that like button. Who should we talk about next, right? Has to be Dante DiVincenzo, right? Hart made a lot of plays. DiVincenzo was really inefficient early in the game, but caught fire in that third, like a lot of Knicks did, including Jalen Brunson. Now, again, he continues to step up from his comfort zones of previous seasons, but that hasn't stopped him from coming into New York and being one of the best players of the season for the Knicks, right? Now he is the single franchise holder for the season and single game for 3 points made, right? Today, 4 of 18, 4 of 16 from deep. Unfortunately, we needed a bit more. We needed a lot more from Devo tonight. We didn't get it, right? The third quarter, he hit a few shots, but 15 points on a -1. We talk about winning games without OG and without Randle. Well, DiVincenzo is the second best offensive player on the Knicks, and he has to have a really good game alongside Brunson for us to win against good clubs. So unfortunately, we didn't get that tonight. We still had a chance, but DiVincenzo's got to shoot better. So I don't think he, again, he didn't shortchange us with effort. None of that. He's always hustling. Continues to play hard. Probably his toughest stretch of the games on defense was also early in that fourth. Josh Giddey came back. He scored about 6 to 8 points in a short period of time, and it got his triple-double. Josh Giddey, it's quite a predictable move. I've seen a lot of Josh Giddey, of course, in terms of his play. That's his go-to move, a drive to the bucket, spin. He's 6'8". Yeah, he's not a great shooter. He needs to get to the line to score or to try to bully his way to the bucket. Devo's a tough defender, but he's given up size. Pause. He's 6'4". Giddey's 6'8". So I can't get too down on Devo on that one, man. But yeah, his 3-point shooting was the disappointment, tonight, to be that inefficient. So I got to go with a C+ for DiVincenzo, right? Holding him to higher standards because, again, we need the 3-point production. He's a streaky shooter as well. Buzzer's gone with the C- for Devo. He still has to get used to being a starter as well. Yeah, big minutes, another guy as well, man, who's playing these big minutes. 45 minutes is a lot for J Hart, not just for J Hart, but for any player. Absolutely. Against a really good team, high intensity, all of that. Now, in terms of Tibbs, people think that he likes doing this. I mean, without having spoken to Tibbs, I can only assume he doesn't want to play a guy 40 minutes, 45. He's doing it because he feels like he has to win the ball game. And that argument I can't really argue with because I don't feel like he has other players that he can put out there that you can rely on. You can't rely on Sims. You can't rely on Bogey. You can't rely on Burks. And that's where it starts to fall on the front office a bit more as well. They've been great. I've lauded Leon Rose, the front office. The Deuce McBride thing was amazing. The contract, the drafting of Deuce, he's stepped up. The signing of Devo, the signing of Hart, the trade, all of those things. But I guess where you can be critical now is what looks like it's not working is the Bogdanovic and Burks trade. You sent out Quentin Grimes, which I'm not missing Grimes at all. He's done for the season. He's out with injury as well. So even if we didn't do the trade, Quentin Grimes would be no good to us right now. He's injured. But what we could have done was maybe get other pieces, maybe another trade for DeJounte Murray, Malcolm Brogdon, just getting a sure thing out of that trade to help Brunson, Deuce, Hart, Devo, and Isaiah. Help these guys that are producing, right? We're missing probably one or two more productive players offensively still with Randle and OG out. And it's a lot of load falling on these guys because of Bogey and Burks. They're not living up to what we needed from them. And I don't think they're going to be any more reliable than what we're seeing. So that's the starting unit. We'll talk about Deuce McBride actually next, and then we'll give the heat, to those guys and try to figure out what we can do. My simple solution is to see what Shake Milton can do. I'm not trying to say he's the answer, but out of the guys we have, he's athletic. He's a guy who can maybe give you more than a Burks and a Bogey. He's averaged 20 points per game last season for a 9-game stretch when he was backing up James Harden on the Sixers with Philly. So yeah, Shake Milton has shown in this league he can be a productive scorer. He got minutes last game. Burks came back though, So it looks like Burke's just supplanted his minutes. Tibbs trusted him for the game, but then didn't go back to it. So I think that's my simple solution to try to see what the bench can do. Otherwise, you're just going to have to do a better job at staggering minutes, man. You should try to have Brunson or DiVincenzo on the floor at all times. Otherwise, obviously Deuce McBride does need to play with the bench as well to spell Brunson, and he needs to be productive when Brunson sits as well. So that's really critical as we move along to Deuce McBride, right, in his grade. Obviously, he's a guy who's still learning. As AP said in the chat, guys are becoming starters for the first time as well. There is that expectation that it takes a little bit of time, but consistency is key for me. Also, playoff basketball, adjusting to this new whistle. Guys playing through it, being physical. I don't want to be critical on DiVincenzo for that foul either, which was a really tough foul at that stage of the game late. It was ticky-tack, and that's where it falls on the referees because, it was a physical game. It was hard fought. Players were leaving it out there, and I feel like DiVincenzo was just picked up for a loose foul, a normal foul, what they thought was a normal foul, and he was just basically guarding the guy straight up. So, that was another pathetic call that we've seen from the officials. And it's hard to ask these players to adjust and learn, what is a foul and what not is when the whistle is inconsistent. I can't imagine what it's going to be like in the playoffs if they're letting this kind of physicality go, but then they just call a random ticky-tack foul anytime, So it's tough for these players. We had Lou Dort in foul trouble today. Isaiah Hartenstein was in foul trouble against Wemby. And we know that was, that was the great Texas robbery, basically. There was 2 Texas robberies this season, Houston and San Antonio, fam. The Dallas one we lost on our own, but that was a tough game. They blew us out early. But Deuce McBride, man, what did he do tonight? Right, he came in 6 of 15, 19 points. So he gave us the scoring. He was 4 of 10 from 3. One of the better Knicks, the best Knick from 3, and he was 3 of 3 from the free throw. So he was money. -6 though. Unfortunately, that bench run did hurt us. But 4 rebounds, 2 offensive, 3 steals, 3 assists, just 1 turnover. 45 minutes for Deuce Miles McBride. Another guy stepping up big time. Right. Yeah, he has a real excuse as well because he's never been playing this many minutes in his whole career, let alone starting. And not only that, he's out producing some of the other vets. So, he's been nothing but a huge tick this season, for Deuce McBride. There was that stretch at the start of the fourth, though, that did hurt. But I still feel like Deuce McBride deserves an A- for the day. 40% from 3, 19 points, hit all of his free throws. The 3 steals were awesome. He gave us a lot of possessions, picking the pockets of the Oklahoma players. 19 points. We obviously need more bench scoring, but is it realistic to ask for more for Deuce to score more than 19 points off the bench? I think we're just simply a player short, right? I know every player has to step up, but every player has their limit, and we need more from the other guys, not Deuce. I think he's given us all that he has. We need to look at the diva, at the Bogdanoviches, and at the Burks, and the Achuas, and the Mitchell Robinsons when he's coming off the bench, as well. But yeah, solid night from Miles Deuce McBride. Buzzer's gone with the C plus for Deuce, and is asking, can Daquan Jeffries or Jericho Sims give us anything? I don't think so, man. If I'm being honest, I think maybe another year or two away. I'm not going to write them off. I think every player has a chance to improve, and we're seeing that with Deuce. We're seeing that with guys, but for what we need right now for the playoffs, I don't think Tibbs can trust Sims or Jeffries, fam. Offensively, probably trust Jeffries, with some spot minutes. Maybe he can play a little bit like Shake Milton if Burks and Bogey aren't firing. But yeah, it's a risk, man. He's a really inexperienced kind of player, for real. AP's tired of Burks. I understand that completely. He doesn't have any more. He thinks this is still the same guy from 2020. Yeah, it's a complete drop-off, man. It's like what we saw with Evan Fournier drop off, right? It's at the point where you're better off not playing the guy than playing them at all, right? And if that's the case, then you just don't play them, man. I mean, he's hurting us too much. I'd rather trust Shake Milton. Hopefully this happens, but yeah, if you're Shake, all you can do is ball out in practice, like Buzzer Beater says. Winning in practice can help you try to win minutes with Tibbs, but I think that race is going to be too tough. I think Tibbs goes off the past. Yeah, he has the familiarity with the vet, with Alec Burks. I think our best case scenario is he has a quick hook with Alec Burks, and just gets the starters back in there. I mean, see, the thing is, guys, we don't have to mess around for too much longer because there's only 8 games left of regular season basketball. And when it comes to the playoffs, game 1, that's Tibbs' excuse to just go starting 5, 40 minutes, 3 guys off your bench playing a little bit, and that's it. I think it'll be Deuce McBride, Josh Hart off the bench if OG's back. Otherwise, it'll be Deuce McBride, Precious Achua, and Jericho Sim, and Mitch Robinson, and maybe Alec Burks. If OG's not back, Alec Burks will definitely probably get some playoff minutes because we need some bodies off our bench. But yeah, I think the minutes are going to be really low. AP says, do you believe the referees are up to something? That's a question where I think it's legit. I think they're bad at their job. I think there is reason to believe that some referees have an agenda. I think in life, it's naive to think that that's not a possibility. But I don't think it's every single referee. I don't think we should say every referee is corrupt or every referee has an agenda. But I do think there is probably out of the lot there's a few. But outside of that, I think a lot of other referees are just bad. They're bad at their job. You could go into a Walmart, you could go into any company, any business. There are people bad at their jobs. It's nothing new with officiating. I think the referee has had a real referee problem for a long time now. The biggest issue is inconsistency as well as being bad. No one expects you to get every call right every single time, but there should be a far better interpretation for the players so that they know what is a foul, what isn't. I think the FIBA refereeing is really bad and inconsistent as well in terms of allowing physical play and then just calling random other fouls as well. And I feel like, frustration is at an all-time high, in terms of interpretation. Look at the Rockets game, right? There's a reason we call that the Great Robbery, is because, you could call slight contact on a player shooting, but that kind of scenario, that kind of shot from Aaron Holiday, That's not a call that 9 out of 10 referees call, but the 10th one we got that call, right? And that was pause for concern, because that was a really inconsistent call. It was kind of marginal contact, if any, and you just don't make that call. But on the flip side, if that was Jalen Brunson shooting like that tonight, he doesn't get that call. So it's like, why did Aaron Holiday get that call? Today, Jalen Brunson was going up for a simple layup close to the basket, clear as day. Lou Dort just clatters into him, into his body, into his leg, and no call, as well. So it's bizarre right now. It's a huge refereeing problem. Some referees will have an agenda, and some are just god awful at their job. They're just super bad. The pool report, the last 2-minute report, there's always something on there to say, yeah, we got this wrong. It's really bad, and it's hurting the product. It's really hurting the product in terms of what we like to watch. It's unwatchable. Now today, the bizarre thing for me was the overturned successful foul call for OKC. Right. I mean, it's there on the monitor to see that Josh Hart was hit on the arm, and I don't know for whatever reason, but they gave it to OKC and said that it wasn't a foul. So I could to answer your question, man, simply put, I think, yes, certain referees are up to something, and certain referees are just bad. In terms of the two Detroit acquisitions, as AP says, Donovan Mitchell has confirmed he hasn't committed, and that was the owner speaking. Yeah, if you've been around long enough, nothing's done until it's signed on the dotted line. Donovan Mitchell doesn't want to upset the Cleveland fan base heading into the playoffs. He's not gonna speak out of turn, but his actions will be doing the talking when it comes free agency after next summer. This summer he has one more year, but this is the summer where Cleveland should decide to trade him, because that's when they can get the most value, I think. And in terms of the Detroit acquisitions, Bogdanovich might stay because it's contract, it's a friendly salary that is expiring that you can trade for the star. But Alec Burks, please don't entertain getting him back. There's younger, there's better players out there as well. It was a stopgap. It was a guy who, was a 2-for-1. We basically traded Bogdanovich for Quentin Grimes in my eyes, and Alec Burks was the throw-in. And we're about to hit on them next, because I thought Bogdanovich had a solid first half. He did hit some shots, but second half we didn't get much out of the rest of the bench, and that did hurt us. Of course, out of all the things that lost us this ball game, the first thing for me at the top of the list was the bad stretch to start the fourth, right? Your fellow starters, your teammates, blood, sweat and tears to give you a 10-point lead, and the bench just let it go to waste, and that's unfortunate for Brunson, the other guys. But we gave Deuce his flowers. He scored 19 points, but he's out there with other guys. Let's look at Bogdanovich's minutes. He was 2 of 4 in 10 minutes. Right, missed his 1-3. Even he went 1 of 2 from the line as well. So that would have been critical. Even if Bogdanovich went 2 of 2 from the free throw tonight, the scores would be tied, and we'd be heading to OT. Bogdanovich gave us 5 points, 1 rebound, -2. So not productive, not a good game, but not one of his worst games. It's just simply not what we need. 2 of 4 from the field, 10 minutes, 5 points. Unfortunately, his defense isn't good, so that we need really good offensive shot making for it to be a win-win. But as I said before, with my playoff rotation, I think with 8 games remaining, as we start to really look ahead to the playoffs, and I could see a world where Bogey doesn't get minutes in game 1. Again, I could see it as the bench players being Deuce, Burks, Achua, and Mitchell Robinson. If OG's not back, obviously Hart is going to stick with the starting lineup. If OG is back by game 1, then Hart comes back to the bench, obviously, and then I think it's a case of Hart instead of Alec Burks off the bench, and it just being a Deuce McBride, Hart, Achua, and Mitchell Robinson, as well. Obviously, you've got DiVincenzo. Deuce McBride is still going to probably start, I feel, because of the shot making. You can play DiVincenzo at the 3, OG at the 4, and Isaiah at the 5. Now, I'm going with that decision because I think Tibbs will favour Alec Burks a bit more than Bogdanovic if we have the extra size back. I think the reason Bogey's still getting his 10 minutes is because he's 6'8", and OG Anunoby is just not playing. You need some element of size, Obviously, Precious Achua is playing as well. Mitch will be back, though. He's only day-to-day, so, yeah, it's nothing too serious. So I do watch all games on NBA League Pass, fam. See, I've got the yearly season NBA League Pass. We don't get any blackouts, so I do get to watch the MSG feed on the NBA League Pass as well. So it's great. Yeah, it's my savior, fam. I can stop it, replay, watch it on demand as well. If I was in New York City, obviously I'd have to get the MSG Plus, fam. But yeah, I understand the cable situation's tough right now. But if you are out of the New York market, you can buy the NBA League Pass as well, and get the New York feed. I can't watch it on the away announcers, man. They're just biased, and it's just tough to listen to, man. Thank God for Clyde and Breen, holding us down. Now, next man up will be Alec Burks, of course, and then we'll talk about Precious Achua, who did play well, stepped up. Precious Achua, yeah, his minutes are going to probably... well, they've been on decline ever since, earlier in the year when he was traded and he was playing, 40 minutes as well. Next guy up, Alec Burks. As I said earlier, I don't want to dwell on Burks too much, but even if Tibbs goes with him in the playoffs, right, I don't see any more than 6 to 10 minutes because Brunson and Miles McBride are going to be the ones, right, to play more. Now, Alec Burks was 12 minutes today, 2 of 8, 25% from the field, 33% from 3. He's regressed, I like Alec Burks, the person. He seems like a nice guy. Yeah, he was a really good pickup 3 years ago. But, yeah, he's just not at the same play, not the same level as that 3 years ago. I mean, what a drop-off. I mean, there could be Jacob Toppin, Daquan Jeffries could give us the kind of production. You don't have to be a good pro to go 2 of 8, right, 1 of 3, right. You could pick up a guy courtside in MSG that could step in and give you 2 for 8, 1 of 3. You know what I mean? I'd happily put on the Knicks jersey and give us 2 of 8. Sink a couple free throws, fam. Be a liability on D. I mean, the Knicks could be paying me to do that. They don't need to be paying Alec Burks, And he just hasn't had that one Alec Burks game. I mean, as bad as Bogdanovic has been, he's had 2 really effective games offensively with 29 points and 18 points. But Alec Burks, I don't know why he's the guy Tibbs would trust. If there's a guy I would play, it'd probably be Bogdanovic because he can at least rebound. If there's one thing he's done pretty well, I think Bogdanovic has been able to pull in some rebounds. He's 6'8". Alec Burks is just a mannequin out there. Now I know he did deal with the shoulder concern. Maybe that was affecting him tonight. Maybe it wasn't, but he's just been bad since he came in the building, right? I just don't know if we're going to see any different. Can he just shake off and become the Alec Burks from 3 years ago? Man, I'd run through a brick wall to get that. Burks was a certified bucket 3 years ago. He was like 18 points per game, big clutch threes late. He rose up for three. You knew it was money. Now he rises up for three. It's a brick. So I don't know if it's just he's dealing with stuff. Maybe just being in Detroit, for 3 seasons has also been a factor as well, or the fact that he's just 32 now, and he's just not the same player anymore. It could be a combination of those things, but for me, if everyone's healthy, I could see a world 8-man rotation in the playoffs where he doesn't even play, and if he does, okay, keep it as 6 to 8 minutes just to give a breather to somebody, but that's it. Right. A playoff game can flip on a switch. So those minutes, as we saw tonight, are really critical, man. What's up, Danny? Appreciate you. Thanks again. Happy Easter to you, bro, and your family and everyone out here watching. Unfortunately, we couldn't relive the Easter heroics as Carmelo Anthony did in the I think it was the 2013 season against Chicago, man. But the season has been a success so far, and I think it's going to end on a very good note. But hopefully, man, we get the guys we need back. I think by the second round, right, if Julius can give us something, and they've delayed the surgery for whatever reason, believing that he can, come in and contribute. OG, I don't know what version of OG we're going to get because the shoulder, the elbow does seem to be, flaring up, and that could affect his shooting, man. But for Burks today, man, he's going to get, he did hit a couple shots. He'll get a D+ for me, man. Alec Burks, right? He could make a fool out of all of us, and flip a switch and revert back to the old Alec Burks, but I don't see it happening, man. I think there's probably a better chance of of the referees, becoming good. Now, Tom Thibodeau, let's hit on him before we look at the road ahead and continue to shout you guys out. The best chat in the biz. Salute, guys. Smash that like button. The Knicks streets are buzzing, right? The 3rd seed is still there. Now, I wanted to pull up this Tibbs smiling today, right? It would have been a feel-good win. It hurts to lose this one, but I thought Tibbs was solid to get us back in the ball game early in the 3rd, right? He made a good challenge. We won the challenge as well. But unfortunately, man, late game execution hurt. I think the player is more let down, Tibbs, but I can't be too critical on the turnovers because the guys are gassed. But the free throw shooting and the stretch early in the 4th with the bench did hurt us, man. So for Tibbs today, I'm gonna go. I mean, it's tough, man. Right. He's leaning on the guys that he feels like he's going to win. Yes, they're playing too many minutes, right? But it's a combination of things, I think. But I'm going to give a C+ for Tom Thibodeau. Um, yeah, Danny, any word on OG right now? No word, man. He is not able to practice yet still because of the elbow concern. Um, I look at it like there's two things to focus on with OG. The first thing is he's still likely to factor in to this season at some point, right? We don't know when, but it's not. My concern's not at a point where he's not going to be a factor. He will come back at some point. The other concern is that the elbow is could affect his shooting. So with that said, I think they're saving OG for as long as they can, for the meaningful games in the playoffs, right? Now there's 8 games left, fam. If we go 6-2, that's 50 wins. But yeah, OG's he's going to earn his money in the postseason, and he's going to be a free agent. So he's not a guy that wants to rush it, wants to come back, and miss more time when he does come back for the playoffs. So yeah, I could see OG coming back in like the final 3 games, something like that, fam. Boston, third to last game of the season, they're not going to be playing their guys. And then Brooklyn, Chicago. So yeah, you get OG back for 3-4 games. You ease him back in. I think that'll be cool. That'll give him another week and a half for that elbow. And that's me assuming there's been no setback. So if there's been a setback, then that changes things completely. There's a lot of different reasons why, the elbow's still flaring up. It could be just he had surgery, he came back for 3 games, he copped a bump, and it flared up again. Or it could be something more serious, that the surgery only, it only helped to a degree. Maybe there's still some loose fragments. Maybe, there was an infection. Maybe there was something different. So we haven't heard that. So I'm going to assume that OG is just, they're giving him more time, and that he'll feature in probably the final week of the season, when they don't need to risk him as much as they do right now. I think for that one. TV says the same. I think both of them will rebound. Let's be patient. Playoffs matter the most. Everyone will be judged on playoff performances, 100%. There's concerns over how effective they'll be if they are limited with their injuries, but the smart thing to do is to save them for, if there is a level of concern, the smart thing is to save them for those meaningful games. Yep. Free agency, it's an option. If he sucks and we are bumped in the first round, yeah, he has no choice but to opt in. Yeah, that'll be a tough scenario to envision, right? It'd have to really be a bad situation. I still think OG would take a lesser deal, a future extension. Guaranteed money is always better, fam. If the elbow is something that could affect him in the future, I would take the guaranteed money. Maybe the Knicks can get a little discount. I think that is something worth looking at. But let's pull up the standings right now, fam. As we look around the league, the Knicks missed another golden opportunity, to capitalize. But we'll see how close things are right now around the East. So I'll pull up the standings right now. Cavaliers lost this morning, which had things set up for the New York Knicks to cruise into that 3rd spot and hold on to it. But look, unfortunately, that's the way the things pan out today. We lose a heartbreaker. We're right there, man. We could have won this ball game. 1-point game, either way. Free throws. But 6-2 can get us the 50 wins. As I said, Cleveland lost. Miami won. Philly won as well. The Clippers won. Golden State keep alive their season. And Dallas won. They continue to win. They're close to the 4th spot now. So our draft pick is getting worse. And then, the Kings picked up a win over the Jazz as well. So that was a much-needed win for the Kings. Now for the standings, the Knicks still in the 4th spot, so would face the Orlando Magic if things stay the same. And then here we sit, fam, just half a game out of 3rd still, but we missed that golden opportunity. We can't keep relying on the Cavs to lose. We have to take advantage when they do lose, like they did today. So, but half a game, still very possible, fam. 8 games left, but we're going to have to do some heavy lifting and only drop, maximum 3 more games, I think. 2 ideally. I think if we drop 3 more games, the 3rd seed is going to be tricky. 4th, I think, is a little more comfortable. We do have the 1-game lead on Orlando. Winning the next game is going to be important. But Orlando do have some tough games coming up. We do have a 3-game deficit on the Bucks, so we do have to really win out, I think. I think to catch Milwaukee in the 2nd seed with tonight's loss, I think the Knicks will have to probably win out to catch that 2nd seed. But the 3rd seed is really what we do really need, and that's more achievable. That gives you, of course, home court. It allows you to avoid Boston in the 2nd round, which is going to be critical. But to be honest with you guys, the most important thing for the 2nd round is to actually have our guys back. Whether we play Boston or not, it might be irrelevant if we're not healthy. Neymar says, I would be a little concerned with OG. Ian Begley interviewed Josh Hart and said he would be pleasantly surprised with OG. I haven't seen the exact quotes, but I could understand that there's probably more doubt. But in terms of the other guys just probably don't know the status. A lot of the teammates aren't told what the medicals are as well. I think the medical staff will be the best informed people. Tom Thibodeau isn't even 100% informed himself. He just says, I get told day to day, as well. So I think with OG's thing, I'm really leaning towards there was a setback, right? Because if we connect the dots, right, he had surgery, which was minor, and they did clean up, the bone fragments. After that, it healed. He practiced. He took contact, and he came back for 3 ball games. But then after the 3 ball games, something went awry. It flared up again. So for me, that shows that either wasn't ready fully in the beginning, and maybe this new bit of inflammation will settle down. That's best case scenario. Or the worst case scenario is that the elbow is just going to be day to day. Anytime it doesn't feel right, anytime it flares up, it's painful, or it's swollen, and you can't really play, you can't shoot well when your elbow is swollen. So I think that is the biggest factor, fam. I'm not holding my breath, but I do think OG will factor in at some point, right? Hopefully it's as minor as, he can be back before the playoffs begin. Otherwise, maybe he'll come back in towards the playoffs at some point. Look, we got some guys that can slot in. We know Achua has stepped up this season and has played big minutes. He can be a defensive stopper to some degree. Now, not as good as OG, but my focus would be on Precious Achua if OG, for some reason, can't give us, the minutes. Now, Achua is 6'8". He's got wingspan. He can guard on the perimeter as well. He's helped out a lot. Where we will miss OG, I think, the most is his ability to play make, ability to just, bully his way to the rim and shoot. That's the biggest thing. Precious Achua can't shoot like OG. He was that floor spacer to come in with Julius and Brunson. to space it out with DiVincenzo. So I think that's what we're going to miss the most, the shooting. I think defensively, Achua can help to a degree. But look, there's no sugarcoating. Julius Randle has been the biggest loss of the season, right? This is a 30-point per game bully power forward, all-star, bucket. He draws focus from the defense. He makes things happen, right? His playmaking this season went to another level. Did Julius? Defensively, he was probably having the best season this season as a Knick as well. His reading of the game was better as well. I mean, that fateful night against Miami Heat, where Julius fell on that shoulder, man. If that never happened, that play never happened, you would assume Julius has been with us this whole time and been playing like an all-star. And that makes us a championship contender, I think. Really, I mean, you look what Jalen Brunson is achieving right now. He's literally the fourth hottest player in the league in scoring. Right, as I bring that up once again, this graphic, courtesy of MSG. I mean, this guy, people still look at Kevin Durant like, what if, right? He's beating Kevin Durant in the scoring table, right? He's fourth in the NBA at 6'3". Right? You pair a Julius Randle or any other all-star type player with Jalen Brunson, and we're as good as any team in the NBA right now. We're as good as any team, right? We beat the Bucks. We can beat the Thunder. We beat the Magic. We beat Orlando with Doncic. We beat Phoenix already when Brunson had 50 points in Phoenix. There's only probably two teams in the league that I think could stop us, which is Boston in the East and Denver in the West, with a healthy Julius Randle. So that's exciting for next season, but it's bittersweet for this season, because we were riding the wave. We were really trending up in January from there, and injuries just derailed the season, right? This season's compromised. Whether or not we get to the first, second, third round, this season's been compromised because we won't get the same seeding, I don't think, that we would have got with Randle now. With second, very unlikely. There's a 3-game deficit on Milwaukee with 8 to play. So we're going to have to hope that they lose a couple games and we're going to have to win out. So I think the second seed dream is all but close to over, and I think third is the next best possibility, right? But again, if Randle was to come back and be a factor in the playoffs with Brunson, I think that's our chance. That's our chance, fam, to make noise this season. And yeah, in terms of, the production from Randle, like will he be on a minutes restriction? I think it's very likely as well. I think that's something to watch as well. Now, the key fact with Julius Randle is that he has not been cleared for a full contact. So his status remains the same. Hasn't been cleared for contact yet. Now, I'm still a glass half full person because I believe in a world where they don't want to risk it yet. But he's shooting right now. He's unhindered in terms of his practice shooting 1v1. 1v none. Sorry. So in the gym, he can do all the moves. He can shoot. He can step back. He can handle the rock with both hands. He can rebound. But why haven't they, cleared him for full contact? It could be because they just don't want to risk it so early, right? And they're saving it for as late as they possibly can, in case, he can give us something in the first round, second round. So that's my positive take on that. But obviously there is doubt. There's significant doubt. As we do have more guests coming up. Buzzer Beater was asking us before, and appreciate you, fam, for your support yeah, and checking in. So we're talking to our guys, B-Ball Breakdown, Coach Nick, Bill Peter, MSG Networks. Now we only have 8 games left, so I'm gonna get these guys on probably in the final week of the season, when we're closer to knowing the playoff fate, and then we can talk more about with these guys about the matchups. Hopefully we're talking about Randle and OG back or ready to come back. And we have some positive news to talk about there, man. But yeah, look, it's going to be exciting. The playoffs, as I go back to the East, right? There's a lot of teams that deserve respect. Credit to the Magic for their season, right? I don't think most people had them pegged to get 5, right? I thought playoff team this season, but yeah, they're a team to look out for the future, man. Their youngest pieces are all young, like rookie young, and sophomore young. So I do think they're going to be around, so they're a team to look out for, definitely. If they were to get a solid free agent acquisition, the Magic could simply overtake Cleveland next season. They could overtake the Bucks. They could definitely be ahead of Philly and Miami. So the NBA changes quickly, man. Young players start to rise up. Teams get free agents. Things can change quick, man. The Heat era could be coming to a close. Jimmy Butler is getting older now. Philly, I wouldn't want to be a Philly fan, to be honest. Not that I was, ever thinking about it, but with Embiid, right, 7'1" on gimpy knees, that's not a good recipe, right? And I think their reliance on Joel Embiid is clear, right? Joel Embiid to them is what Jalen Brunson is to us, right? Anytime you take that guy out, they're as good as the 8th or 9th seed. And I don't think those knees are going to get any better, man. They're already rickety. And the older he gets, look out. I think they crapped the bed with the whole James Harden, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris contract. Or they really didn't. The process was the process, but it got them close. But yeah, ultimately, I think Embiid's approaching 31 soon. He's 30 next season, 31. I wouldn't touch Embiid, to be honest. I don't know about you guys, but I would not touch Embiid at all. I think we're good with who we have. If we are adding someone, I want it to be someone who's 27 or less, someone who's young, and someone who's healthy as well. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be the Sixers. I wouldn't want to be the Heat. 2 teams with a brighter future as well, but they have to make moves, is Orlando and Indiana. So next season, us and Boston are going to rule the East, right? Cleveland, when Donovan Mitchell, when that news hits, and Milwaukee getting older, strapped of draft picks and immovable contracts. There's only so far that the Milwaukee Bucks can go as well, right? Look out for the typical Giannis power play. He'll be talking to the media, flirting with New York again, all this stuff in the future as well, if Milwaukee can't get it done. And I expect that to happen because Dame's getting older. Defensively, they're just poor. It's going to be interesting to see how far they can go in the playoffs if they can execute. I could easily see a healthier Philly, a Magic knocking them off, or a healthy Heat, or the New York Knicks, of course. But yeah, I mean, the feel-good story is basically the Knicks and Boston, health permitting, should rule the East for the next 3, 4, 5 seasons. I think, with, of course, Magic, Indiana coming up. Atlanta have potential, but they really need another really good piece. Chicago, too many injuries. Players too old. And of course, it'll always be that the New Jersey Nets are stuck in purgatory with one good player that they don't want to trade and a bunch of no good players right now. And I could see the Raptors coming up a little bit if they can fix things a bit. But look, the Hornets, the Wizards, the Pistons, the Nets, there'll be so many bad teams in the East for years to come. So, you know, the future is bright for the Knicks. The time is now. We have to get it, ladies and gents. So we'll get ready to wrap this thing up, right? And we'll be live, of course, Tuesday night as we head to South Beach. That one is going to be huge because, look, Miami need to win to get back out of the play-in scenario and to fight. They're only 2 games out of the Magic. They're only half a game out from the Pacers as well. So that next game has huge ramifications for the Knicks and for the Miami Heat, right? Can we finally pull out a close one? Yeah, we hope. We hope, man. Jalen Brunson's been a hero. And the Knicks will always leave it out there, right? They'll continue to battle. But one thing's for sure is we need our guys back, man. This season can be anything, man. It could be a failure with a first-round exit, or it can be a wild success, right, with a deep playoff run. But a lot of the things hinge on how far can Brunson take us, who else can step up, and if and when OG Anunoby and Julius Randle will be factoring in, right? Only the Knicks medical staff, those players individually, and God knows the answers to all those questions. We're going to find out, fam. But we'll be here for the ride. On the streets of buzzing with the playoffs, man. 8 games away. This is why we do this thing, fam. 74 games in. This thing's been a grind, right? But I'm buzzing for the playoffs. I can't wait, right? I appreciate regular season wins, but I appreciate playoff wins more, fam. That's why we do this. Jalen Brunson didn't come here to New York City to win regular season games, right? There's a reason this guy's leaving it all out there, right? These are championship caliber players that have won in college, everywhere they've been, and no signs of slowing down. They don't want to lose, right? So Jalen Brunson's coming, and the rest of the league, look out, fam. Could he win the MVP this season, right? Wilder things can happen. It's not likely, but he should be in the conversation, no doubt about it, right? Top 4 in scoring right now, first-time All-Star, and she'll be a first-time All-NBA, right? He needs to start getting the respect from the referees and what they're doing right now. He's having to sell these calls just to get a damn foul call, which is disappointing. But Tom Thibodeau, the New York Knicks, continue to write to the officials. We're just going to have to sell the calls, right? I know he might have to take a few flop fines, a few flop warnings, but if he doesn't sell the calls, they won't call it. You know, the man's 6'2", and they ignore the contact as well. If you guys remember, Julius Randle had the same problem because he's so burly. He has to sell the calls as well, like LeBron James on those foul calls. But man, next game, I think the Knicks will win. We're going to bounce back and beat Miami in South Beach. And I wish everybody a happy Easter. Unfortunately, man, this one was a frustrating night and a bad loss. But we'll bounce back and we'll get it on the next one. Peace, everyone. Enjoy your night.